You're listening to the Moist Boys Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Thank you for listening to the Moist Boys Podcast. My name is Josh.
My name's Jonathan.
And I'm the best bro, Heather.
And today we have a special guest with us. Please give a warm welcome.
Hello, my name is Nico, and I'm a special guest.
He's warm welcoming himself.
Perfect.
Excellent. Today we are running through Animarch. We have...
Are we running through it or are we marching through it?
Ooh.
Heyo.
We're kind of pulling
We're kind
ourselves
of
through the mud.
Through it.
Yeah.
We are stuck in quarantine mode here. Corona 2020. For those of you who are thinking about starting your own podcasts, don't. Leave it to the professionals, people. Much like doctors and
Virologists.
yeah,
Cab drivers.
only professionals should handle these very sensitive situations. And we've been trained. We've been training for this, folks. We've gone through the rigorous.
We've done the montages.
Yeah,
I was just thoroughly vetted.
yeah.
Yes.
But today we're talking about Millennium Actress, a movie by a director I know almost nothing about, other than the name of two of the movies that he's done, other movies he's done.
That's fair, yeah.
Hey,
I've
me
not-
too, actually. It's the only one I've seen.
Yeah. A couple of those, I think, barely squeaked into theaters recently. Tokyo Godfathers. But I was not able to
Oh,
catch
yeah, that's
that.
right.
That was
Yeah.
right as Corona was ramping up.
And theaters were shutting down.
Yeah. And also probably his most famous film, Paprika, I have not seen.
I would say it's probably equally as famous as Perfect Blue.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I've seen a lot of clips from both to the point where I can't distinguish either from the other.
Right?
But I know they're there, and I know they're really good, but I haven't seen them either.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like I've seen Inception, so have I seen Paprika?
I don't think so. I think
There's enough of a difference.
yeah. I think there's probably as much similarity between that and Inception as Millennium Actress and Inception,
That's fair.
which
I
is
can
to
see
say
that,
slightly.
Yeah.
So boy, oh boy, was this... Spoilers, the end of this movie's
A little bit of a
existential,
downer there.
make you hurt inside kind of
Little
movie.
bit.
I just wanted you to cry all the cries that you've ever cried.
Yeah.
then
So I've seen this twice. Once in the theaters, so I got to see it. I get to have it blasted in my face, big screen, and then I just recently rewatched it for the Animarch on the small screen. Depressing both times.
Would
Yeah.
you call our TV a small screen?
I mean, compared to the one that I saw it on before, sure.
I mean, 55 feet, 55 inches, whatever.
It's the same thing.
difference.
Yeah.
Big is big.
There's 55s in it.
Yeah.
What I heard you say is they're both 55.
Yeah. So it's the same thing.
Yeah.
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 So when I saw this in theaters, I normally a sub man myself. I actually had to see the dub because I missed the sub.
Okay.
And I will say, having seen both now, because we watched the subtitle,
Because that's the free one that comes with Prime.
yeah, you have to
Yes.
pay for the dubbed version, which is weird.
Oh, no wonder.
Very weird, honestly.
Yeah.
I was wondering why I couldn't watch it in dub.
Yeah. Give up that sweet, sweet Skrilla.
There may be a virus going on, we may be dying, but we're still paying for movies.
Yeah.
So having seen both, I'll say I think they are both equally good. Usually, that's not always the case. I think sometimes
I was going to say,
studios.
you usually do not like dubs over subs.
No, I think sometimes people will go for named actors over good voice artists.
Yeah.
I
think this
always
is not
hear
the
that
case.
argument. I have yet to watch something where that has
I
been
was
the
going
case.
to say, I have yet to experience that.
To be fair, we have not watched a super ton of anime movies.
No.
I've watched a few, and you were going to say,
Oh, like most anything Miyazaki released that was released again by Disney. Like I've got
Much
people
worse.
who are like, Liam Neeson was in Ponyo? What?
It was good. I liked
See,
Liam Neeson
yeah,
in Ponyo.
I liked
feel
him
like
in
he
that one.
built
Well,
his character really
Liam
well.
Neeson's just incredible in general. But like, yeah, like other things, like you look at Spirited Away.
I was gonna say I
And
liked
then-
I liked the Fanning sisters in
Totoro.
In Totoro,
Yeah.
because they weren't big enough names at the time, but they
Yeah.
were cute and they sounded cute, and that's fine with me. I like
Yeah.
cute.
See, I'm at the point where I don't know which version I've seen of some of them, so I can't even like
Yeah. Oh.
speak to it anymore.
Here's one that'll probably ring with you that you might roll with me here. Howl's Moving Castle. Howl was Christian Bale, and in my opinion, I don't think he did that great of a job.
Well, because he's Christian Bale.
Was-
Oh, really? And how was it? No, it's
I have not actually seen Howl's Moving Castle. I know.
What?
We're gonna fix that because we're gonna be doing some Miyazaki stuff for our
Patreon content.
I can count on one hand how many Miyazaki films I've seen, which is
If
terrible.
if I really thought about it, it would probably be one hand. Just thinking Kiki, Totoro, Spirited Away, fucking Mononoke,
Mhm.
and Ponyo.
oh, we're about to exceed one hand.
Uh-oh.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Shit, I
Castle
think
in the
that's
Sky.
it though.
I have seen Spirited Away, Ponyo, Princess Mononoke, and Totoro.
You've never
Minus-
seen Kiki's
I
Delivery Service?
haven't seen
It's so
Kiki's yet.
good.
I know. I know. I get yelled at often, and I'm like, I like anime. I like things, and they're like, but you haven't seen the Miyazaki's. I'm like, but I like them.
It's like, I'm working on it.
I will watch
Fucking
them.
Give me a minute.
Calm down.
That kills me. It's like the normie scale, you know. Like if they want to one up you because they've seen a couple Miyazaki's, you know, they're like, but have you seen every Miyazaki
Yeah.
movie? Like,
Have you
No.
seen Porco Rosso?
Yeah, have you
No,
seen-
but I want to. Like,
but it's like, yeah, people always use that as like the gauging point for how anime are you. How many Miyazaki films have you seen? I'm like,
I
I'm
haven't-
sorry, they're like $50 even
That's
now.
like-
Yeah, right.
that's like being like, well, do you like music? Have you listened to Katy Perry?
Excuse me.
First of all, how dare you?
Well, but you know what I mean? Like he's,
No, I know. I understand
he's
what you're
the
saying.
main,
Yeah.
you know, he's the main
He's like a
line of the
huge,
genre.
like,
Like,
yeah.
You're
you
right.
can't.
Everybody knows
Like,
Miyazaki.
if you've heard music, you know of who Katy Perry, Lady Gaga are. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, I'm so sorry. I'll rephrase. Not Katy. Do you listen to music? Have you even listened to Beyonce? Better. He's the. He's
Yeah, that
back.
checks out.
He's the queen.
Have you even heard Skrillex's underground shit, bro? It's like, come on,
Yeah,
man.
it's like taking any genre and being like, well, have you not heard of the most popular, most like?
Right, but it always seems to be Miyazaki for like people gauging anime. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
It's because he's the name that people can remember, and he
Yeah.
has so many films, and he's done such broad work that it's easy for people to be like, well, I like Miyazaki, so clearly I like anime. And it's like,
Right.
Really
I
the-
also like anime, but I've seen other things.
Yeah.
Right,
Sorry,
but it's
I was
like-
spending
it's-
time on other things, my guy.
Right.
Like,
It's just always funny that it's always those people though that like they're the ones who don't know who Satoshi Kon is. You know?
yeah. I was gonna say the
They're-
only like real anime gauge you really need is do they like Sword Art Online? Because you either don't like Sword Art Online or you're trash.
Oh.
that's a hard line to draw.
Wow, bro, you gonna alienate so many people like that?
I mean, it's just not a good show.
So we're trash.
What?
Either you like it or you're
No,
trash.
either you don't like it.
Oh, 'cause I'm sitting here about
You
to say, well, hold on a
definitely-
minute
you
there.
definitely
Nico's like
said-
getting his coat. He's
Yeah.
out.
You definitely said either you like it
No,
or
either you
you're
don't
trash.
like it.
You did not say
I
the
said
don't.
don't.
You
I'm almost
didn't because
positive.
both Nico, Josh, and I were like,
Hey, don't bring me into this.
So you know what's fun about those things? None of those things are the movie we're talking about
No,
right
Very
now.
true.
Not
Yep.
even a Miyazaki film.
Not even a Miyazaki film.
But Satoshi Kon, yes.
Satoshi Kon.
So trying to bring this back a little bit now from my hole that I just dug.
Good luck.
Yeah. What I like about his, from what I've seen of his movies, they all have a very distinct look, and they all look like you're watching a painting.
Yeah.
I
Um,
did feel that way.
Sometimes, literally, like,
well, I mean, yeah, there's like the like clip art moments, but I feel like specifically her, like the scenes of her walking through like town. And there's like snow, and like it's all very muted colors except for like her scarf.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. So something actually wonderful about that. It's funny that you do say that. So a lot of the frames and a lot of the scenes that they put into this movie were actually recreations of famous Japanese cinema scenes. So there's
Awesome.
yeah, right. So there's a bunch of in there where you literally, they took every frame of painting, and there you go. You've got your 1,000 paintings, the best parts of the paintings too, because they didn't just pull from one movie. They said like, we're pulling from Iron Fortress, and we're pulling from Seven Samurai, and everyone's like just it's the best parts from each one of those frames
Yeah.
used in there. Like the part which one was it? I think it was Iron Fortress. The part where the documentarian, he's filming them, and they walk out onto this big balcony, and the princess is like, "Oh, my husband is dead and everything's dying," and the guy's like, "What's going on? We're in like the Edo period now," and then all of these like arrows just pop, 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 just smacked in all around him, right? That was from Iron Fortress, and you can like look that up. There's scenes that they used. It was
That's
so
rad.
fantastic. So I loved it. If you couldn't tell, sitting there, I graduated with a film degree. So like, looking through this movie and seeing all of these scenes that I had to learn was like, it was so cool. As a film lover, it's a beautiful movie.
Yeah.
So
Well, like, so the basic overview of the film for those of you that are listening but haven't watched it, which I would say would
Why?
be a mistake.
Why?
Yeah, definitely.
Definitely go watch this before we talk about it and make it lesser than what it is.
But come back to us. Come back to us
And then
after.
come back and listen to us be complete jackasses about it.
Yeah.
pause now.
But the kind of the overarching story is that a guy that's a big fan of an actress, he hires like a videographer to go and I guess he's shooting a documentary ostensibly is what
Because he's shooting a documentary about the studio being torn down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they go to interview an actress, Chiyoko. The film is kind of blends together reality and fiction.
And storytelling. I would say reality and storytelling.
Right. So like,
Because this is just very active imagination storytelling.
Yeah.
And what it makes that really cool is that those lines blur so drastically that even the characters in them are unsure of in the beginning what part they're in and what part they're not. Except for the main bro, because he knows her movies all by heart and can do all the parts.
Well, like as a viewer, that line is blurred so much that I didn't know what was her telling her story through the frame of the movies she was in versus her just telling her story.
Yeah.
Until the like Skarsgård guy shows up later and was like, oh, he wasn't just a character.
That was a real dude.
Like that was a real
Yeah.
guy that she interacted with frequently in her youth, like during that whole like war era. And I was like, okay, so that like having him show up there all of a sudden was like, oh, okay, and like having to remember like what was he a part of, like where were they when those scenes were going on, and
it gets so blurred
Yeah.
too that at times you feel so much for her, and then you go, wait, that's a scene.
Right.
Like, okay, hang on. And then like other times when you're like, wait, this has got to be a scene, this is too intense, and then to find out that it's her real life is just like, oh my god, my heart just broke.
Yeah, because
hard.
I would say up until the point, because it's very much framed as she's telling a story and we're just basing it around the movies she's been in, up until the point where she meets like the old crone that gives her the magical tea that she has to drink.
Yeah.
And then from that point on, it's like even like she starts bringing in like everything starts mixing together a lot more than
Yeah, because there, that you're right. That line was discernible, slow, like eventually, as the scenes were played out until that point, and then she just kept seeing the crone everywhere, in her life, in her movies, to where it was her own ghost haunting her at all times. And it just blurred those lines.
So that's what my thing was. By the end of the movie, I was wondering, like, was that even a part of that movie to begin with, or did she just herself constantly feel like she was cursed because she was always chasing after the idea of this person that she just never saw again.
So the way I viewed it after watching it was that you've got those parts where it's like Edo period and more. I think she uses that as like as a metaphorical storytelling tool, right? But I think anything that happened like World War II era and past, I think all of that actually happened. She went to Manchuria and the train got attacked, you know, because she got sent north, which, you know, showed that the negative side effects that the other actress caused, you know. She didn't just send her up there to send her on a goose chase. Her freaking train got attacked by Manchurian bandits, you know. Like, I think all of that crap actually happened, as we see with the Scar guy, you know. And then, you know, you've got scenes like where the actress takes her key, you know. She's sitting there just, like, pouring her heart out. I think those moments are, like, I think it's the informing of what we've seen her going through. Like, she's taking all of this anguish and pain that she's been going through and using that in the scenes, right? So I think, like, you're right. Those lines blur in such a way that it's hard to grasp on a first watching. I had to go back a couple times.
It also, the parallels and I don't know how much of them, you know, our actors and actresses today, a lot of them have a big say in what movies they choose to do and which parts they choose to take once they become pretty decent sized actors. And I don't know if in World War II, when she was making what essentially were supposed to be kind of originally propaganda films to show the lighter side, but her roles, the parallels that her roles fit with her life and what was going on in her life were so amazing that she could plug in that despair and that desperation and that heartbreak into these roles so perfectly. And it also is more heartbreaking because she never could escape it. You know, she could, even in her roles, in her day-to-day life, in her job, she couldn't escape this great heartbreak in her life.
Yeah. I almost feel like a Life of Pi kind of thing too, you know? Like by the end of Life of Pi, the thing is like, you know, the story could have been made up or it could be completely real. But as it is with, like what he was saying, like as it is with God, like which would you rather choose, you know? And I think she's chosen to choose a more fantastical view on it because it was so heartbreaking, you know? But it was beautiful. I would love to hear your guys' opinions on the key and like how that played in the movie and like what possibly that could mean, you know? Like for the character, well, one, for the character, and two, like, what do you think the director meant with that key? Because that means something, you know, more than just the love she had with this guy. Because she says it. It's like, one, as an unlocking tool for the memories, and two, as, well, the memory itself being the key. But, you know, it's just this key that goes to nothing. It just feels symbolic to me.
Well, and we don't know that it goes to nothing. You know, originally maybe it could have gone to the lock on the briefcase he was carrying with him, or it could have gone to something in his home. But eventually, what that key really represented and what he told her it was is it unlocked the most important thing in the world. And I honestly believe that to her, what that key unlocked was her love, was his love and her love. And that's how she coped with her day-to-day of being so madly in love with this man that she knew she'd probably never see again, is that she got to lock it away. And that key was her key to the lock of her heart. Which is why when she lost it, only then is when she got married. She married and she chose to try to move past that, but obviously we see that she never really gave her heart away. It was locked away and she didn't have a key to pull it out again.
I can't add to that, so I'm gonna go to something else real quick.
I liked to answer your question though. I liked the symbolism of what a key could mean. That it did unlock, that it was meant to unlock her memories, that it was meant to be, and that's what I truly think the director meant by it. It was the key to lock away her heart and to protect her, because we do see her fantasize about, you know, she made these memories grander. They were probably awful to live. That was probably an awful day-to-day thing to live with. And so it's nice to have that symbolism of locking that part of you away.
Yeah.
Yeah, the two most striking scenes to me as far as blending the real and the fictional are the one where she's like riding her bike through the town like I assumed that was a movie that she was in because it had like the way that the story had been set up. It was like leading us through a certain direction, and you realize that had actually happened. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then when she does find the key in the director's office or whatever, and like they start having that argument, and then turns out that's a movie set too.
Yeah.
And it was like that, like, because at that point it was her bringing her real struggle into the movies she was in to tell them this story. But in that scene, she had like flipped it around where she was like something happened, and
in
it
her
was
real
like
life, and was framing it as
she
being
was.
on a
She
movie
turned it
set.
into a movie so it would be easier to deal with, and it's
Yeah.
like. It's fucking depressing.
I also like that the key is used kind of as her totem
Yeah.
as well. I mean, we were talking about parallels
Inception.
between this and Inception, but that key's meant to be as her totem. And if I want to do a second watch to really pay attention, but I feel like when the key is extremely visible and you notice that she's wearing it, that it's there, those are the scenes of her real life, and it's almost a way to find where that line blurs and to figure out if it's
definitely.
reality or movie.
Yeah.
Because in the movies her key wasn't as visible. It's there, you can see it at times, but when it's like, you know, she is, I think it's riding her bike. She's riding the bike through the town, and you see the key, you know, banging against her chest as she moves,
Yeah.
and it's like that is how you know that's a real life scene, is because the key is extremely visible.
Yeah, very true. I think one thing that really stood out to me by the end was, and I don't know if this is read with you guys too, but for me especially, I feel like by the end of the movie and the characters are trying to tell us that it's, I personally think it's about the art itself, right? I think that it had nothing to do with the man. Well, it obviously had things to do with the man, but I think by the end of the day, her telling the story wasn't about, you know, the man. You know, it was about the journey that got her there. I mean, when she says, what did she say when she was going? She said it's more about, she was more in love with the pursuit of the man, is what she said.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of it's interesting because, you know, she's had this juvenile love this whole time, right? That she's been holding on to for that, when really at her final moment she understands, you know, that it was. I barely knew the man, you know. I barely knew the guy, but getting there, going through this art that led me on the chase, you know.
And I think that the love was more representing what could be to her as well. You know, he promised her this: when everything calms down, I'll have you up. You can see this beautiful land. And for a child who was being raised during World War II, that was probably that was it. Right. You know, it didn't matter who promised her a better life somewhere away from this and quiet and peaceful and seeing snow. I think that's really what she was chasing, is this person who symbolized this calmer life that she wanted. You know, she didn't want to be an actress. She got wrapped into it, searching for that quieter life, searching for that peaceful time. And so to try to find the person that symbolized it to her, it could have been anybody who had promised her to her, and I feel like she would have pursued them.
Very true. I can see that. I feel like,
which is, I think, part of why eventually she's like, it was just the chase.
Yeah.
It was all about the chases, because she wasn't chasing him, she was chasing that idea.
Yeah.
Very true. And I mean, it's that idea that spawned her whole life, though, you know?
It is.
Like the way she tells the stories, even through the movies that she's created, right?
Mm-hmm.
All on this search for this guy. I feel like it's just indicative of that idea.
I honestly think that that's part of the reason why that in the end, once she, you know, the old police officer comes, she doesn't know that he killed this man. She didn't need to know, but what did she do after that scene? She isolated herself for the next 30 years. That's because she finally realized, I didn't need that person to find this quiet life, to find this quiet time.
You're right. She did give up that search, didn't she?
Mm-hmm. And just spent that peaceful 30 years in isolation.
With the lotuses, yeah.
So the astronaut movie, we assume that that's an unfinished movie, right?
I
think so.
don't know.
I think so. Because
he's watching it, though.
He's watching
Yeah.
it, but he clearly has, like...
The master tapes.
yeah,
the
he's
master
like watching
tapes.
it like on a reel-to-reel.
Yeah. And so I feel like it was just an unfinished project, and then after that was...
Yeah.
It's like that was too much, and she was just done.
Which I thought was great that they started the movie off with him watching the scene just before he saves her life. You know? And then you see that scene happen, you're like, oh my God, no wonder he was watching it. He's totally nostalgic for it. It's like, I saved her. This is it.
So
Yeah.
I feel like the end of the movie is possibly the filmmaker, because there is no actual ending to that movie. It's his imagining of what the end would be, just her going off, flying off into the stars to just continue her search and be happy in her search. But I don't think that ever was put to film or existed anywhere outside of that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, that full launch is more part of her imagination.
Yeah.
So not to give anyone like, this sounds like a depressing movie, and it kind of is, because there's a lot of the way it's framed. There's a lot of like, not necessarily nostalgia, but just a feeling of like, since we didn't get to see what those 30 years in between were, like there's like a feeling of like of missing a lot of stuff, because like also the movie jumps a lot of time periods too.
Yeah.
To like, because like this is probably the clearest representation of actual Japan in World War II that I've seen in a movie. Like a lot of movies, they'll be like 10 layers deep. Like the Miyazaki, he'll be like, yeah, they're out in the countryside. Bad things are happening, but I'm not going to say what. Whereas this is like...
Ooh, have I got a movie for you?
All right, let's go watch Miss Hokusai or Grave of the Fireflies or something. That's
This Corner of the World.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Break your heart. See, I watched this with my girlfriend, and she just got done watching Miss Hokusai. So, and she like saw targeted ads for this movie after, and so she assumed that it was going to be like that bad. I'm like, no, this isn't that bad. This won't tear you apart in 1,000 pieces and leave you at the doorstep of your mother.
Yeah.
I agree with you, Josh. I don't want people to think that this is a super depressing movie, but it is, and this is what I really like about it is filmed very documentary-ish.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to tell the story of her life, and they don't want to just make it super boring, and so they panache it. They mix in those scenes from the movies. They mix in her voice over telling you about this. It is filmed very documentary style, and I really like that because it's an anime documentary, which is really interesting.
I really appreciate it, because if we're going to look at it face value, right, not think about the nuances of directors or studios or producers or whatever, and just the face value of what the story is to the characters, right? It's a very realistic look on death, if in my opinion, you know, because it's this celebration of her life, right? And the studio, both coming to a close, coming to an end, destruction of the studio, death of the actress. But, you know, we know that it's not going to end well, because we already know from the beginning the studio's getting destroyed.
Yeah.
I
But that
really liked
end,
that parallel. Too,
yeah, that end
that
there
show.
it's beautiful, you know what I mean? Like the way they handle it. You're right. Documentary style, you know, just celebrating every minute of what this studio made and what this woman did through the animation of it, you know, or the filmmaking, like I said, from the character's view.
The frame. So again, like going into this, I went into this blind, and so just off of reading the description of a documentary filmmaker goes and talks to this studio's most like celebrated actress after 30 years of her living in solitude, blah blah blah, and I was like, oh, okay, so it's going to be like clips of her movies are going to be sprinkled in. She's going to be telling a story, whatnot. What I did not anticipate was that the director and the videographer were going to be thrown into the movies, and like he was going to take up the role of like a character in the movies because he knows them all by heart, and the videographer is always going to be like, what the fuck is going on right now?
My favorite was when he was like, "Oh, this is a role you were meant to have." It's the truck driver.
And yeah, and it's such an amazing framing device that it honestly, like, I'm really glad that I've seen it here for the first time, something like this. And I'm also very disappointed that there are not more movies doing things like that. With like, I'm I'm over the like Waiting for Guffman, The Office, like talking head kind of like mockumentary thing now. I want this. I want stuff like this. I mean, you can only really do this one thing with it, so I guess it's kind of like a everybody go out and make the same fucking movie for my enjoyment. But it's just so good, and I was immediately, as soon as it was like her running across the bridge and then like trying to keep up with her and like following the younger version of her through the streets. And just being like, man, this is kind of creepy. Are we like, is this okay?
Are we stalking? I feel like I'm stalking her.
Yeah.
Also, when they're panting and they're like, this is really hard work, actually.
Yeah.
I really like that the director and the videographer are two different sets of film watchers. You have the casual audience videographer who's like, the fuck, how do you know all these lines so well? And then you have that diehard fan who's like, I will repeat every word, I know every line, I'm great, who is the director. And so it's you know, I feel like I was the videographer in this viewing, but if I watched it a couple more times, you know, I would eventually be the director and be like, yes, I know where everything is. And I really like that they show two different types of fan. They show two different movie watchers.
Yeah, so not to give everyone the impression that this is like just a long slog, depressing movie. There are a lot of hilarious scenes in there.
Oh, there really
Good
are.
humor.
A lot of funny stuff.
Good humor.
And even
So
some
it's-
incredible action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good, like really good Ninja Scroll style stuff. Like the ninja scene where she was like jumping through the trees against the other.
Yes. I was going to bring back up the arrow scene that you were talking about, you know, because as soon as the guy's got arrows coming at him in the wall, she dives down and the director dives over her and just watching the sheets of arrows come down. Like, it was gorgeous. Like, there was great action scenes. There were gorgeous scenes. Like, this was done extremely well.
Yeah,
And the humor in it never feels forced or out of place.
Or slapsticky. It's not slapsticky.
It's
not
always just exactly the right amount of humor for what's going on, and just enough to comment on the fact that what you are seeing happen is completely bonkers, but not enough to like just completely take you out of it every time it happens. It's like, yeah, this is kind of crazy, isn't it?
It's very human dialogue-y,
Yeah.
which at the time is what makes it funny. So if you said these things like, "Oh man, I'm feeling kind of creepy, like a stalker," like that's not a funny line. But when you put it in context of where they are at the time, that's what makes it funny. And so it's not like they were trying to write jokes.
It's a very
It's just-
Japanese kind of humor. It's
Yeah,
just
it's-
things are happening, and I'm going to tell you it's happening. This is
I'm gonna
weird.
tell you that this is happening. And that's weird.
But yeah, I mean, I've heard. I know not a lot of us have seen a lot of the director's movies, but apparently this is in like stark contrast to one of his other movies, The Perfect Blue. Apparently, it's like same kind of thing about a crazy fan, but like the negative aspects of it.
Oh, okay.
And so,
Because Perfect Blue is
or was it Paprika?
because Perfect Blue is the one that is like Black Swan.
Yeah, but there's like apparently some like crazy stalker fan, just super negative. You know, the kind of the kind who's sitting. You know, the one they depict as like the '90s hacker sitting with the 50 computer screens. And
Yeah. I'm your biggest fan.
I've seen everything you do, even when you don't know I'm seeing you.
Yeah. The other thing I think that's kind of so far, and hopefully this continues on to the next one. So far, we've picked fairly wholesome movies, with the exception of the what's it? I'm blanking on his name now.
Who?
The director, the other director in the past that directed some of her films.
Oh, in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
With the exception of him, this is a pretty wholesome. Everybody's fairly wholesome. Even though like the older rival that she has is kind of like, you kind of feel more sorry for her than
It's definitely
ooh,
like a
she's
high school rivalry kind of thing, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
And even
well, I mean,
like
it's one of those things where a lot of movies will do the thing where you have in this case slightly older actress who is just watching herself be replaced. But I think this movie does a good job of kind of making you understand from the outset that like that wasn't really our actress's intention. It's just that she got told, like, you're just gonna come out, you're gonna come do this picture with us, and then like just kind of showed up and like, and she's the title character.
Right.
Action.
Yeah, Roman Polanski was the person I was trying to think of. He's definitely like it's only implied a couple of times, but it's definitely implied that he's a Roman Polanski type.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean, to be fair, he does only marry her after she's legal.
so it's a Roman Polanski type. That's what we're going with here.
Right, but I thought the director. There was a lot of ends in this movie. You know, there was a lot of and again, not to convince everybody that this is like a super depressing movie, but it's like I said, it's very realistic. It's a lot of endings with grace. So like we were talking about with that first actress, right? The ending of her career as main actress as soon as Chiyoko comes up, you know?
Yeah.
The ending of the marriage between her and her husband. All of this stuff has all of these endings, but again, it's framed in a way to where you kind of just accept it, just like she does, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because she doesn't let it destroy her. The stuff ends, and she moves on, and she creates something better and stronger, and I love that about the character in the movie.
Yeah. The one part that gave me a lot of anxiety is after. So we find out that the man with the scar on his face has been like the detective police officer that's been kind of chasing this guy throughout all the different time periods. She talks to him and he gives her the letter, and she goes running off, and like that whole sequence, I was just like, because it's just her running and running and running, and it's like she's not going to get
She's
anywhere.
not going to find him.
Yeah, it's just she's just going to continue to keep running.
Yeah.
But
and it was
again, I was just what's so beautiful about that is as she runs, she's running through all of her old movies, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like stating that as she searches for him and as she pushes towards finding him, she's still living a life that's worthy of being told, you know, which I thought was again beautiful. There's just so much I can't overstate how beautiful I thought it was. It just made me cry every second. I'm sitting there just like, she's running, man. They're blowing up Godzilla. They're telling her not to go.
I want to see more of that fucking kaiju movie so bad.
I will tell you something that surprised me a little bit about the movie, and it's because I don't know why I think that this is what directors are going to do every time, but our director had such a negative reaction
To the director?
Yeah. That I was like, oh no.
He rapes her.
He does something. He's icky. This is an icky man who's going to abuse her, who's going to hurt her. And I was like, no. And then to just find out it's because it was a rifle, I was like,
Right.
I like you, movie. Good job.
Good job, movie.
Good job, movie. You just didn't like him because he married her.
Because he married your girl.
Because he married your girl. Okay. Like, thank you for not making me have to, like, she already had a shit enough life. Please do not add this. Please, for the
Like, I don't need to sit through a sexual assault right now. I didn't need that. So thank you for not giving that to me. I appreciated that. Thanks for not going full Roman Polanski.
Yeah. It did surprise me. I definitely was like, oh no. I thought he was going to like hit her.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think he was going to rape her. I thought
like
he was going to be
like
an
a
abusive,
drinker or something.
a drinker.
Well,
an
especially
abusive
like
husband.
when she discovers the key. And he's kind of just like, you found it.
Right? He's like, oh, well, I mean, I guess I'm found out.
Yeah, and it never turns into like, well, you never really loved me thing. Like,
He's just like,
So,
he literally just freaking shrugs his shoulders, goes,
Yeah.
You
we
found
bye,
took it.
Felicia.
I lied to you, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really appreciated that.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, thank you.
Yeah. So for our online fans, one of the things about the dub that I wanted to point out that it was slightly distracting because I wanted to look up to see if I was correct or not. I ended up not being correct. But for those of you that watch a lot of YouTube and watch a channel called Cosmonaut Variety Hour, know that the guy that hosts that show is not the voice actor that plays the videographer, whose name I can never remember. And it's hard looking at the IMDb credits because there's a lot of characters in there, and a lot of characters in the movie go by not the names that the IMDb gives them sometimes. Because Genya goes by several different names in the past and in the present. And I don't think he's maybe like referred to that once in the movie at the beginning as his older actual self, but that's how he's listed on IMDb, and I couldn't remember I can't remember the videographer's name. I think he says it one time.
Maybe.
Right. I mean, the love interest was literally just named Man with the Key.
Yeah.
Yeah.
End credits. He's just Man with the Key.
So like the only one for sure is Chiyoko, only because Genya yells it 300 times throughout the movie. But yeah, it was kind of just, I was like, is that it? I was going back and forth. Sounds exactly like him. It's not, because he's not in the credits.
I gotta watch the dub then.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to tell him.
So yeah, seriously, somebody's gotta let him know. Like, bro, did you know that this guy in this movie sounds exactly like you?
If I have to compare it to something like Weathering You, I think I would put it a little bit above, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, I know they're different love stories. You know,
That's fair.
They follow very different stories, but I don't know. I like the determination of Chiyoko more. You know, seemed like in Weathering You, it's like, can't do anything without anybody else. You're useless alone. But Chiyoko's like, nah, screw that. People want to be bad. I'm just gonna take over the world.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be the greatest actress the world has ever seen.
I think Millennium Actress is a little more unconventional.
Yeah.
As far as like, because Weathering with You, even though it was, I give the score I give it, like it definitely has like the archetypes of young boy that goes on an adventure and like stuff like that. Whereas this is very much, you're never sure what like the actual, they're like, what, there aren't archetypes, I feel like, except for maybe Chiyoko, but like it keeps shifting based on what movie she's putting her life into, and like with all the different roles that she's played over
Very
the years.
true. I think there is one archetype, and that's what we were talking about, the cameraman, nameless cameraman.
Yeah.
Cosmonaut Variety Hour cameraman. I think he's the archetype of the blank slate. I think he's supposed to represent us, which what I was going to say before, I really appreciate that he's there.
Yeah.
To say,
that's
what,
fair.
we're in the freaking Edo period now? Because I just feel like it'd be too esoteric without him, you know?
Yeah.
You would be saying, what, we're in the Edo period now?
Yeah. And then when they jump forward and he just like looks at the filmmaker and is like, you're in the wrong clothes for where we are now.
That part. When he finally catches up, he's like, where's Kyoko? He's like, you're wearing the wrong clothes, man. Different period.
Different period now.
Oh, it's fantastic.
The part where that's kind of like terrifying seeing it from a different angle is when all of the bomber planes are slowly creeping up over Japan. Was that real? Because it's
I think
Yeah.
it's real because she still has the painting after in every like real point she has that painting that he made in the prison cell.
But it is a little weird that the woman that was like her rival, because like she's played the one, like, because for a lot of the flashbacks, and then like she'll play like her boss, I guess, and for lack of a better term.
Well, there's a lot of, yeah, it's I think they're just going for a dynamic,
Yeah.
rather than, because there were scenes where she would be talking to her mother, and then it would flash back and forth, and it would be like it's her mother. It would go to, and then it would go back. Sorry, I'm fucking up names right now. And it would go back, and then it would be that actress instead. And so I think that possibly just like such a hectic moment that the people that she's even remembering being there were completely different people. Those are just the faces she's clinging on to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like they're just stand-ins.
Yeah.
You know, like I think every character that the director played in those flashbacks that helped her, you know, like took the arrows or
Yeah.
rode with her on the horse, like symbolically or whatever. I think those people actually did exist. And yeah, you're right. They're just placeholders.
Mm-hmm.
They're these faces that she's put there. And like she said when they found the key again. Remember the other actress said, I've been playing the older woman to you ever since you've showed up. You know, I've been playing the bitter old woman to you. And every time we see her as a character in the movie, she is playing some bitter old woman. And I think, yeah, they're just stand-ins. Another idea of mixing that art and reality that she's made. You know,
it's been like what 10 years, 7 years at this point. But Satoshi Kon,
2001.
Well, he passed away in 2000. It's been 10 years.
Jesus,
Yikes.
really?
Having seen this, I want to see the other films that he's done because being able to blend something as serious as this and having that tone, but like anytime you see any like from Paprika, it's always like the super serious or violent or like that part. So I'm like, is that going to have the same amount of humor? I don't know, but like you wouldn't think so seeing the trailer for this either. I don't think like they're always going to show you the big bombastic parts.
See, I've been told no. I've been told Paprika and Perfect Blue are the complete antithesis of this movie.
Yeah,
like they are just the darkest, meanest, grittiest, like most existentially dreadful shit you've ever seen.
I am. I mean, fuck, we're in quarantine. Like I'm on board.
Right? Like it's all like. The reality of stardom and celebrity status will destroy you, and who you think you are is not who you believe to be. You know, it's like,
yikes. I mean, we need more content for the content grinder, so I guess fuck it, we'll watch that too.
We'll watch something, yeah, for sure.
I haven't seen it, but from what I've seen, it looks, in my opinion, probably more beautiful. Ugh, I've been using the word beautiful a lot. It's more well animated.
It looked more good.
It looked more better. I'm messing up over here. No, like animation wise, it looked like it was more of an out there kind of thing. Like this has all been really in this movie. It's all very grounded in reality.
Yeah.
Like as out of reality it is. I mean, like the action, the movie scenes that they're showing, they're not like someone pulling their face off and exploding into 50,000 bubbles.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it's like something that I feel like I talk about maybe way too often is that I appreciate when things in like action scenes or just in general, if you can make something that's animated look like it has weight to it, like I appreciate that, and this movie does that so well.
Hell yeah.
Him getting shot in the shoulder and falling off the horse, her trying so hard to pull the door open as the train is burning around her, and when she finally flings the door open and just like rushes out and she's on that balcony, and it's like, oh my god, we just switched things and I don't even care. She got out and that's fine, and I'm fine now. Everything's fine. Things like that where you actually sitting there watching it, you can feel there's actual tension and weight to a scene of something that, I don't know, I watch, to be fair, like we have a 4-year-old. I watch way too much kid shit, and they're not worried about putting tension in a scene.
Not always. There is a movie that neither one of us watch comfortably because there's too much tension in scenes.
Oh,
spoil it.
It's a Disney Pixar movie.
Refresh my beer.
Inside Out.
Oh yeah, that movie. It's me watching that movie is just bro, I am just straight up not having a good time.
Jonathan is an anxiety mess the entire time we're watching that movie.
Specifically at the end when she like steals the credit card and is like getting on the bus.
Yeah, when all of her feelings are shut off and she's just like, ooh,
oh my god.
And then you're watching her happiness die in a hole and you're like,
yeah, I'm just like, this is how serial killers happen, right? Like this, that's my takeaway from this movie.
So all children have the potential to be serial killers.
I mean,
only if their sentient feelings inside their brains aren't getting along with each other.
Well, they get along with each other. They just are trying to warp memories. Stop touching things.
Yeah. And like childhood joy is constantly trying to suppress the sadness that you feel as you get older. And then as you get older, you realize that sadness has its place.
Oh my God. Inside Out is more depressing than what we just watched today.
Somehow.
A little bit.
Oh God.
So Jonathan, to your point, I think in a scene like at the end when she's like running through all of her movies again and we're seeing all those different things, that could get very floaty. Like she could be not connected to the ground, but like they make sure that every environment that she's in matches what film she's running through. Like, so when she's running through the snow out of the cable car, she's like running through the snow away from the Godzilla and running through, and like that turns into outer space, which like matches a very like struggling to move through a space. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, when she was pulling open the door on the train when it stopped, and it was that scene when she was banging on the prison doors, you know.
Yeah. Oh, when she's banging on those doors just nonstop, and then she runs through it, and you're like, oh, thank God, finally a moment of peace. And then she runs into the middle of World War II. It's like, oh fuck.
Right, the bombing of freaking Tokyo. You're like, no. Or Nagasaki. I mean,
like just one fucking reprieve, please.
Yeah. So one thing this movie didn't do, though, I don't know if it's something he just doesn't do in general. We'll probably find out later. No yummy foods in this one.
Yeah.
No yummy anime foods.
What am I supposed to make from this movie?
A lot of beautiful flowers, though.
Yeah.
Yes. So I feel like
Don't do it.
What?
There's two types of anime.
No. I wasn't going to go there at all. That's not.
The ones that make food and the ones that don't.
Yeah, that's how you differentiate between animes.
I would say the ones that make food and the ones that have yummy foods and the one that have yummy flowers.
Yeah. No, I think it just kind of speaks to. I don't think putting delicious looking foods into any like it wouldn't fit.
Yeah, it speaks to the unreality of films.
Yeah,
and that's how they're
specifically they animate food so well because it's supposed to be like a comfort thing. Mm-hmm. So like if you're seeing a scene, like if we're going back to Weathering You, when he's got that freaking Big Mac, right?
Ooh, that Big Mac. That fucking lunch that she makes
the
for
lunch
him.
she makes from all the food
I
there
have
is
that
supposed
saved
to
on my phone. We're going to make the delicious lunch.
Like it's just to add this level of comfort and nostalgia because food is so like central to everything that's Japanese family.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, they have a nice herbal tea that she makes.
That's true. It looked fine
right.
from far away.
Looked like water and leaves in a cup, but
it looked like I couldn't see in the cup. It just looked like a cup.
It just looked like a nice cup.
I thought I was being told that there was tea in that cup.
Yeah.
But I think, like you're saying, it would have been too much of a comfort for this movie to just be like, and then a delicious food thing. Like that's
Here,
not
have
what
a big bowl of realistic looking ramen.
Yeah, it's like that's not where we're at. With
That's
this
not where
movie.
her life.
Nom nom nom.
No,
we ever get to see.
Yeah,
which is like some of the existential sadness at the end is like we never get to like
we don't see moments of comfort.
Yeah, we see the beginning of her coming to accept her journey, but we get cut off before we actually ever get to a point where we get to be like comforted by it because it's just like, maybe things aren't so bad, and then she's gone. You're just like, oh no, come back, tell me everything is fine.
Tell me everything's gonna be okay.
Just say it's gonna be okay, man. Ooh, there's something that I thought about. What we were talking about with like characters playing parallels to other people in her life. Something that just kind of dawned on me, like literally just now, is that every character who's been like someone who's protected her in a moment of her need, someone who just helped her out real quick for a moment, it's always played by the director, the guy who saved her life one time, a person who she never really got to see, you know. And so now the face of that man just takes the place of every person who's helped her.
Yeah,
so cool.
Until at the end when she accepts that not that she's not going to need protecting anymore, but that like, because he also plays the guy at the end who tries to stop her from getting into the ship. But she's like, you know what? I gotta go. I said I would go. This is what I'm going to be doing from now on. So
I think at that point he represents the physical world trying to be like, no, don't leave, and her being like, no, my time's done. Mm-hmm. I'm all done. Thanks, though.
And also, like, he's always, like, the characters he represents are always the ones that, like, change her course through whatever.
Yeah, but
because she's about to
small ways
point her in the right direction, or they're really about keeping her on this path that would make her continue to live. And at this time, she's like, nah.
Yeah,
but they're always minor characters, you know, because every time he helps her, it's always some big speech. Miss Chiyoko, if only you could understand, I help you in ways that you get. And he turns around, she's just gone, you know.
Clooney time.
Clooney time.
Clooney time.
Oh, by the way, we do Clooney's.
Yeah.
You can give it any amount of Clooney's out of 10 that you would like.
Are these George Clooney's?
These
Yes,
are
they
George
are.
Clooney's.
This is high honor.
Yeah.
This goes back to, for those of you that are new listeners to this goes back to not episode 1, but like 5 or 6, I want to say. Go back to listen to, it's episode 2 of our
It was
Love, Death, and Robots,
Yeah.
where we gave it Clooney's.
Harley was like, and Clooney's.
Yeah, our man, our invisible man, Harley. Maybe he'll be back. Feet guy, show feet guy.
Show feet guy. Don't worry.
he'll
We'll
be back.
bring him back for you.
But yeah, he came up with the George Clooney scale. It's kind of just
Just run with it.
yeah,
Now.
It's been our
use it in
scale.
all of our
For a year
properties.
Yeah.
now. Almost
Very nice.
a year.
Yeah,
So it was like a 1 on the Clooney scale, like Batman and Robin, George Clooney, like bat nipples
No,
and
no, no,
whatnot.
no.
or-
One
No,
on
you
a
don't-
George Clooney scale is like, this is the worst thing you've ever seen in your entire life.
Yeah.
So yeah,
So
what he
Batman
said.
and the bat
we don't. We
It's
don't
not.
necessarily. We don't rate it to like an equivalent of a George Clooney like role or
Oh,
anything.
I
We're just.
see.
We're just.
Just
handing them
multiple
Clooney's.
George Clooney's. I
Yeah.
see.
yeah,
Like 10
I see.
George Clooney's is a high honor.
yeah.
I would like to have 10 George Clooney's.
We've
Right.
we've given something a 10 once.
I think
don't remember
you've given a 10 to one thing.
Have I actually given a
I
10?
think you have.
Josh has never given a 10.
No.
No.
I have definitely I've given 1 10.
That's because there's the things that I would give 10s. I always feel guilty because it's for personal
That's
reasons.
right. I gave a 10 to something not on Moist Boys. It
No.
was
No.
on his
It was-
dork materials.
Yeah.
And that's because it was fucking amazing. And it
What
deserved 10.
was? What was your?
It was for his dark materials. It was an episode of his dark materials.
Either,
Oh.
either 7 or 8.
It
I
was
mean, or
just-
6 or 8.
I think it was episode 6.
I think it was 6.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
But how many Clooney's for Millennium Actress?
I'm gonna give it a 9.
Ooh.
I liked a lot of this. It looked good. I really liked. We had talked about how sometimes she does interact with paintings. I do like the newspaper clippings and photographs that she has that she just like walks in and out of, which is another thing that's indicative of how her life, where she was like as an actress, just using that as a placeholder for actual things that happened to her, because the things that did happen to her, she tried to portray as a movie. So yeah, like going through different parts of her life through photographs. I thought
Yeah.
it was a good looking movie. I liked the story. I was surprised how funny it was. Pleasantly surprised. I can't think of any negatives, but I'm still going to reserve that 10 for a special occasion for I don't know what. But yeah,
I was
that's
gonna
where I'm
chase
go.
that dragon.
Yeah,
So yeah, I feel like 10 is set aside for something that you would literally watch any second of any day given any chance, you know?
yeah.
Like they're like,
That's
you want
definitely where my 10 resides.
That's where my 10 was. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree. 9 out of 10 Georgia Feld Kloonbergs from me. No, like if you are a massive film nerd like me and you know anything about Japanese cinema, it is a love letter to Japanese cinema, not just to the characters in it. So watch it. It's beautiful. But yeah, 10, like I mean, if you catch me on a day where I'm not feeling like a good cry, I'm probably not going to watch it. So,
Yeah.
That's fair.
so yeah, definitely 9 out of 10 Kloonbergs.
As much as I want to change up from the pack a little bit, I'm gonna go 9 again. Yeah.
You got to do the Herman Cain, the 999.
Yeah, there you go. It's just such a striking film to watch. And it doesn't. It's relatively short. It's an hour and 27 minutes, I want to say. But it doesn't suffer from being that short. And if this was 10 minutes longer, I don't think I would have been mad. This is the first time sitting through a Satoshi Kon film, I think, as we all said, for all of us. And I am definitely on board for more of this. I really like his art style. I really like the way he directs. And yeah, it's just a good movie. It's a good movie. You should watch it.
So to go really quickly to the like runtime, it's an hour and 27 minutes. It feels longer, but not in a bad way.
No.
Like,
Yeah.
I think it's just like so much stuff happens and you have to remember so much stuff that you just feel like it just keeps going on. Like so much time, like literally 70 years or 80 years passes in the course of this movie. And it's like,
It reminds me a lot of the last Mad Max, Fury Road.
yeah.
You know, like there are moments where it's relatively calm, but like there's just a driving force to this movie that just keeps it going and going and going. You don't feel like it's dragging at all.
Yeah.
You know, you're just sitting there like, okay, what's next? What's next? What's next? You're never sitting there going like, stop for a second.
Yeah.
Heather Clooney's?
Well, I need to just like put this disclaimer out there that I need to
Uh-oh.
rewatch this movie. We, as our lovely listeners probably know, I don't do later nights well. And by later nights, I mean anything past 9 p.m. I work very early in the morning usually, and I am very adjusted being a morning person. And we didn't start this movie last night until
9.
till 9-ish. And so I made a terrible mistake of getting too cold and cuddling underneath blankets and having to be tapped by both Jonathan and Josh. So I need to rewatch it because I missed chunks. But this movie is so well done and so beautifully done that I don't feel like I'm lacking anything. I just want to go back and watch it because I was in and out for about a 10-minute period there, and but I still caught everything. Like it still captured my attention enough that even while trying to not fall asleep, I was still captivated by the beauty of this. So I would give it also a 9.
Controversial here.
I don't know. I was gonna maybe go lower, but I can't. It's
Quick disclaimer, I'm also going 9.
yeah. I don't know if a second watch through would drop that score for me. I was gonna be like, I'd give it an 8. Like I didn't cry, and I'm a sucker. Like I cry at everything. I'm a big old sobby baby, and I didn't cry watching it, so I feel like but I don't feel like I missed the emotional beats. I got where I was supposed to be going. I didn't physically cry. So I think a second watch through and I'd probably be Nico and just me and Nico buddy, when you're ready to cry, you come over and we'll just watch this together and just sob on my couch.
All I do is cry watching these movies.
Yeah. So I was going to go maybe lower, but I don't think that I think with a second watch through I would only like it more. So I'm going to give it the score I think I would give it after a second watch through.
Cool.
A wise choice.
You heard it here first. Trash movie. Definitely
Absolute
do not
garbage.
watch it.
Do not watch it. 9999. Do not watch it.
Yeah, that's what we were actually.
Yeah,
we were speaking German.
9.
It's a World War II movie. That makes sense.
Yeah, checks out. Bringing it back.
So those of you out there that have Amazon Prime and have gotten to this point, you made some bad choices in life. Go watch this movie. I don't think you can. But to be fair, I don't think
If
you
you
can
have
spoil
seen
this movie.
if you have seen this movie, go rewatch this movie. It was
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess the only spoiler would be that like she dies at the end.
Oh gosh!
Oh, no.
Jonathan!
no.
Oh my God!
Oh
you
god, the
ruined
end of this
it.
review, and
Ugh.
I've said the thing that we've said like 5 times already. That and then B, that she like never finds the guy again.
Yeah.
And even knowing those story beats, it's like I don't know. It's you have to see it for yourself to understand.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
like as far as the like never finding him again, like that's fairly obvious.
Yeah.
I mean, a guy that disappeared in Japan somewhere.
Bumped into on the
Also-
streets.
Yeah.
I'm sure she saw it, but the fact that as an audience you never see his face.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's because
It's-
later on when she breaks down because she can't remember him.
Yeah. So I'm sure she saw his face at one point, but like the fact that she doesn't remember what his face is, so we never. It's like, well, if she can't remember and I realize that it's been years and years and years and years,
Yeah.
but how well did she remember his face 3 months later, 6 months later,
Yeah.
a year later? You know,
14
was she?
years later.
Could she have seen? Oh.
We don't
See, that's-
We don't talk about that show right now. Ugh.
See, that's why I feel like she cherishes what she did in search of him more than she did the memory of him, you know?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it hurt, but
She was,
she lived a freaking hell of a life.
She lived a hell of a life.
You
And,
know, and she knows it.
and I think part of not giving up, I think that part of what, like, made her feel good about it, too, is that she didn't give up on something she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
She chased it her entire life.
I think that's what, like, at the end when she's, like, in the hospital bed and, like, kind of confesses that she was holding on to this younger version idea that, like, it's been...
She wanted him to accept her as how she was then.
Yeah. It's like, but neither of them were going to be those people anymore. And so I feel like that's, like, her accepting that and just being like, I'm done and I got to move on. And I know that he already has, so I'm going to go look for him.
I'm gonna go chase him
Right.
in the afterlife now.
Yeah.
That was a meditation point for me, actually. Like, I'm gonna go sit down later and I'm going to think about that message specifically, because it's like, yeah, man, like, what do? You know, you sit here and she just wanted what she didn't get at that time, but she's right. She was haunted by that. The old woman, you know, haunted by this idea that she loves herself and hates herself all at the same time. And that ghost is her age, you know, always sitting there saying, I love you, but I hate you.
And you'll understand why
And you'll
later.
understand why.
Yeah.
So thank you all for listening to the Moist Boys podcast.
We don't love and hate you. We just love you.
We just love you, our little moisties.
no.
Our little towelettes.
No.
That's what it is. Head on over to Instagram.com/MoistBoysPodcast or at MoistBoysPod on Twitter. You can find our garbage up there. That's what I call our content. It's just garbage.
It's just garbage.
We're shoveling shit till the apocalypse, folks. That's what we're doing here at the Moist Boys. I just want to thank Nico for being here on this episode with us. If you have anything to plug, now's the time to do it, or regret your decision to come and be on here.
Okay. If you'd like to find Nico Johnson online, you can search him as Eagle Rockets on Twitter. Give him a look up on Twitter or Instagram. Specifically Instagram. Go to Instagram first. Type in Eagle Rockets. All one word. Eagle Rockets. Sounds like freedom. Looks like a lot of photography.
There you go.
There you
That
go.
is the best goddamn plug. Nico, you're gonna plug all my shit from now on. I'm hiring you for that. You hired.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you all for listening.
Don't
We
worry,
haven't-
folks. It
We
only
haven't
gets...
talked about where to find us lately.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we have.
Besides your plug for our Twitter there for a second.
Instagram.
Instagram. We're the Moist Boys Podcast on Instagram.
Yeah, that's when I start off with.
Yeah.
Oh God. Also, there's a link tree on there where you can find actually all of our content as well as all of us individually.
Even though a lot of our content is on hiatus at this point because the old Corona.
Corona.
There's too much Corona in there.
Too much Corona.
We are continuing with his dork materials, though. Come listen
suffer
to
with
us.
Come
over there.
listen to us just lose our ever living minds from watching the worst shit right now. I mean, it's great content, so come listen.
It's great content. Terrible show.
There's some. I think there's some funny shit over there.
Oh yeah.
We do some.
We
We do
have- we have
bits
a good
to get
time.
through the show over there.
Yeah. Something's got to get us through it.
I think it's August. It's supposed to start. Well, we've got content from August through the end of the year. There are 3 shows on a particular streaming platform that are all coming out back to back.
It might be blue.
It might be blue.
Yeah. But until then, I think we have 2 more episodes of His Dork Materials with Picard. After that, we need some content to get us through till August.
So if you have
there-
any suggestions on what we should be watching for historic materials, please do not suggest Picard.
You can also reach us, moistboyspodcast@gmail.com for all of our communication needs. Drop us a line. We want to hear from you. Thank you for listening, and we'll be back next week with
A silent
voice.
Ending it on the most upbeat, positive note we could possibly end this month on.
Judging by the description of the movie, I highly doubt that.
You know where the end of this month is going in like real life?
Oh, it's
we might as
fucking,
well
like,
just
It's a month
go
of pain,
with it.
everybody. Yeah.
Just
Yay.
yeah, we started off with like really just lighthearted and wholesome with Weathering with You, and it's been downhill in the fields department ever since.
There's always been this thing about weather in March. Like if it comes in like a lamb, it goes out like a lion. If it comes in like a lion, it goes out like a lamb. I feel like Mother Nature and the universe as a whole communicated and were like, so we're going to give you this nice, easy beginning to March and then fuck your shit.
All I know is they stabbed Julius Caesar 1,000 times at the end of March, so...
Yeah.
March is rad, y'all.
So glad this is my birthday month.
Yeah. Happy birthday.
Yay. Don't forget to come back next month. It's 420 all month, baby.
Woo, 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 woo.
I don't know what we're doing with it
I
for that
was
yet.
like,
But
are we doing something with 420?
Well, we're still gonna be quarantined, so we're not doing jack shit.
we're gonna hotbox the podcast or
this
something.
This is my house.
It's gonna take a lot. We're gonna have to get started pretty early.
We're gonna hotbox with edibles.
Going?
This is Washington, man.
Yeah.
He's riding the wave with us, baby.
I'm pretty sure that's illegal.
Yeah. Our 4-year-old will not be getting high.
We
don't
promise.
He comes out with a juice box and some graham crackers.
Nico's just laughing. So Nico's high.
Asa, dude.
Oh, dude.
You're like, what's up, 4-year-old? Asa, man. You guys got any Capri Sun? I'm all out back there, dude.
Oh, God. Thank you for listening. We'll be back next week.